for Part 5. Skip to 1 hour 37 minutes and 30 seconds. I hadn't been doing anything special on that day. It all happened when I was, like always, sleeping in my ash gray shirt and sweatpants that were much more comfy than pajamas. Hey! Would you mind waking up? Mr. Kaima Masuda? Someone I didn't know was calling out my name, and before I knew it, everything except the clothes on my back was gone. My bed, my pillow, my apartment, heck, the apartment building, and even the ground were all gone, leaving me stranded in a star-dotted vacuum that looked a lot like space. After making sure that I could breathe properly, I opened my eyes. I felt a floaty sensation, as if I were still asleep. For a second I wondered if I had been kidnapped, but after seeing my surroundings, I assumed I was dreaming and tried to go back to sleep. This feels nice and floaty. I'm definitely getting a good night's sleep tonight. Would you please listen to me? I am a god, after all. Huh. Yeah, I'm listening. Is that true? You're not sleeping or anything, right? I don't have much time here. You're being summoned to another world right now. You'll regret it if you don't listen to me, okay? I'm listening. I don't know if I've ever met someone so lazy before. Well, it looks like we're out of time. I hate to let you go, but I guess I'll just have to ask the next person that comes by here. What? But I'll at least make sure you can understand the other world's language. And if you do help me out, I'll make sure you're repaid for your efforts. I wish not to work. The world you're being summoned to has magic, but civilization there hasn't developed very much. You'll have to work to survive. Plus, the fact you're being summoned means someone out there wants you to do some kind of job for them. I want to go home. Well, good luck. A bright light enveloped me, blinding my vision. Day 1A, alright. The summoning was successful. Wait, what? A human? But why? I didn't know how it worked, but I appeared in a room with a faintly glowing floor and white walls. Is it still a room? If it's as big as a gymnasium? Either way, that's where I ended up. In front of me was a beautiful girl that looked a lot like the kind of princess knight you could find in all sorts of video games. She had golden hair that reached all the way down to her waist and a firm, though somewhat childish gaze. And lastly, long white boots that went all the way up to her thighs. Yep, those are some good legs. I've got a foot fetish though, so would you mind taking those boots off for a second? I really want to see what's under them. And after that, I'd appreciate it if you would put on some knee socks. Even some black ones would be fine. But I'm getting off track here. Apparently that hadn't been a dream, but the real issue was how extremely sleepy I was. I love sleeping more than I love eating 3 meals a day. Seriously. But why? I spent all of my DP, why'd I have to get a small fry like Laziest? Mind if I go back to sleep? Eh? You don't mind, right? Oh, by the way, do you have a bed or something? It teokt? What's with this girl? I just want to sleep, but she's screeching and ruining the mood. She's pretty attractive, mainly her feet, but I guess looks are only skin deep. What a shame. She'd be some really nice eye candy otherwise. What's going on? I've never heard of gotcha monsters talking. Oh right, it's a human. Makes sense that it can talk then. I guess. Hey, what's with you? Keep it down, you're making my ears hurt. Okay. Wait, no, what's with you? I'm the one who summoned you, so you should just listen to everything I say. Is your mom or dad nearby? I kinda wanna go home, so. I'm not a child. Listen up! You're a monster that's been summoned by me, this dungeon's core. I'll work you to the bone until you die, got it? Dungeon core. Monster. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. If that god was telling the truth, I've been summoned to another world, and this girl is the person who summoned me. But it doesn't look like I'm a hero or anything. Phew. That's a relief. I don't want to get wrapped up in anything annoying like protecting the world or whatever. That'd get in the way of my precious sleeping time. Come on, stand up and go outside already. Kill all those bandits. I spent 1000 DP on you, so you're actually really strong, right? Holy crap, girl. You sure started saying some pretty violent things all of a sudden. I'm a little less sleepy now, seriously. Alright, I'll listen to what you've got to say, but first you've got to help me out a little here. What's a dungeon core? What are monsters? What's DP? I can tell that, you summoned me here. Oh wow, I'm impressed. Makes sense that a talking creature like you is a little smart too. Maybe you're a wizard-type monster. Well, whatever. This is my dungeon. And obviously, this is the master room within me, the dungeon core. Alright. What about the dungeon master? Oh, you know about dungeon masters? That's interesting. But my dungeon doesn't have one. Oh, wait. I guess that would make me the dungeon master, kinda? Naturally, I knew nothing about the dungeon masters of this world, but I could guess that they existed thanks to how many fantasy games I've played. But she also mentioned a dungeon core. That must be the heart of this dungeon. And also, this girl? Hey, wait a second. You said I'm a small fry since I'm a human, but aren't you a human too? Nuh. This is just my human form. Hey! Wait a second! You need to start calling me master! Ah, that's right, you haven't told me your name yet. What is it? Me? I'm Dungeon Core number 695. A number? Really? That's pretty lazy. But wait. If she's number 695, that must mean there's 694 other dungeons. Okay, I take it back. I would get pretty lazy naming them too. I don't even know if I could think up that many names. Alright, you're Rokuko now. I'm what? I mean, it'd be pretty hard to call you dungeon whatever number whatever, so I'll just name you Rokuko. Full name being Rokuko Dungeon Core. Oh, by the way, my name's Kaima Masuda. Go ahead and call me Kaima. Not Masuda, Kaima. Dungeon Core number 695, henceforth known as Rokuko, looked at me with complete bafflement in her eyes. What? Masuda. Master Kaima. Is that a fake name or something? Wait, what did you just make me say? Kaima Masuda has been recognized as Dungeon Master. Why? Rokuko and I both said the exact same thing at the same time. A transparent, green window popped up before my eyes. It looked like the kind of message window you see in video games all the time. Written on that window in white letters was a message describing that I had been recognized as this dungeon's master. I have no idea what's going on, but I guess I'm a dungeon master now. Menu. Hold on. I take it back. Cancel. Undo what just happened. The blonde girl. Rokuko summoned her own window and shouted at it, but nothing in particular happened. My ears are really starting to hurt, sheesh. Hey, you're being loud as hell right now. Tone it down a little. Actually, just shut up entirely. What's with you? Don't order me. Arrow. She shut up. Oh yeah? I'm the dungeon master now. And it looks like dungeons have to obey their master no matter what. Hey. A perfect life without work may have just fallen straight into my lap. That's right. I won't have to work anymore. I'll make this blonde girl do all my work for me while I sleep all day every day. It'll be perfect. Yeah, I'd have to be a completely trash person to do something like that. Wow. Not to mention, she's a girl. It just wouldn't work out. If she were my age or older, I could at least rest easy while making her do my chores or whatever, but she looks younger than me. She's like a middle schooler at best. Considering how well developed some elementary schoolers are nowadays, she could probably get discounts at theme parks without trying too hard. Menu? Whoa! It actually popped up. Let's see. What do we have here? A transparent window appeared before me after I called out for it. It was basically a video game menu. Everything I could do was listed out for me in a clear, easy-to-comprehend way. I had 3 main options available to me: Dungeon Minions, Dungeon Point Catalog. Everything was written in nice and easy Japanese for me. Wait. Or is this what that god meant when he said he'd help me understand the language? Yeah, that must be it. Dungeon Point Catalog. Looks like I can use that DP Rococo was talking about earlier to do things here. Oh wow, she's glaring at me pretty hard. Ha ha ha, you aren't scary at all. You're actually pretty cute when you can't talk. I'll give her head a little rub. Oh, that just made her more angry. She's screaming, but no words are coming out. Fantastic. Alright, you can talk again. Trash! Idiot! Finally, I can talk again. What did you do to me, you piece of walking garbage? I'm afraid to say that the only idiot here is you, Rococo. It seems like you accidentally made me your master. Or in other words, your dungeon master. Undo that. Why? Because I'm the most important person here. Obey me. Obey. The blonde girl glared at me, cheeks flushed red and eyes brimming with tears. But now I know for sure. This girl's an idiot. Don't call me an idiot! Oh, did I say that out loud? But seriously. Think about it. Why did you summon me? Well, to make you a monster in my dungeon. In other words, if I obey you, I'll be forced to fight as a dungeon monster under your command. I'd live or die by the orders you give me. Actually, I'm pretty confident that any order you give me would just lead to me dying. So, I'm not gonna give up my power over you. No way. I love sleeping, but I'm a bit young to start sleeping for eternity, if you catch my drift. Well, that's just how dungeon monsters work. And you look pretty weak, so. Looks like we're finally on the same page. Though she's not too happy about it. I said this earlier, but you can call me Kaima. Okay, Kaima. NGH. I can't resist you. Anyway, I'm gonna check out the dungeon real fast. I'd like my sleeping arrangements to be nice and safe, after all. I selected Dungeon from the menu. Just touching it worked fine, but I imagine it would have responded to voice commands as well. Okay, let's check out this dungeon map. She was saying something about bandits, so it looks to me that the dungeon core is right in the middle of the room filled with invading bandits. It looks that way to me too. Why? Don't you know that the dungeon core won't work unless it's placed inside of the dungeon? That's just common sense. I was starting to get a headache. Dungeon cores don't work unless they're placed inside of a dungeon. This dungeon only had one room. So, the dungeon core was placed inside of that room. And there were 8 bandits inside that very same room. This dungeon's already completely friggin' screwed. It was a complete checkmate. Why did she let things get this bad? This is why I used all the DP I had to summon a monster that could beat all those bandits. But what I got instead was you, Kaima. By the way, what'll happen to me, the dungeon master, if the dungeon core gets destroyed? Well, obviously you'll die. The master and the core are connected, they live and die together. Holy crap, I'm gonna die. I'm completely done for. Oh god. Don't worry, it's okay. The core will be fine even if the master dies. What's okay about that? And weren't you just talking about us living and dying together? Yeah? Really, don't worry. You're not going to die yet. After hearing that, I realized that I wasn't dead yet despite how it had been several minutes since I first saw that the core was surrounded. I glanced at Rococo and saw that she was looking at me with an irritated expression that said, "Humph, why are you getting so worked up over nothing? How about I tickle your feet until you pee yourself, huh?" Huh? What's going on? Well, about that. It's been 3 days since these bandits invaded my dungeon, but they haven't tried to destroy its core at all. What? Look, you can use the dungeon menu to look into the dungeon and monitor it directly. As advised, I opened a monitor through the dungeon menu. A new window appeared from thin air before me, displaying what looked like video footage from a security camera placed inside of the dungeon. The bandits were all sleeping around the dungeon core. 2 of them seemed to be awake and keeping guard, but alright. They don't seem like they're about to attack the core. By the way, The core was about the size of a basketball and was glowing much like the walls and floor of the room I was in. See? I don't really know what's going on, but we're safe for now. Plus, I get more DP when intruders are in the dungeon, so it works out. By the way, how do you get more DP? So? To summarize what Rokuko said, one absorb it from the surrounding ground. This tends to be about 10 DP a day to allow time to pass while an intruder is inside of the dungeon. Varies depending on the strength of the intruder. 3 kill an intruder. Varies depending on the strength of the intruder. 4 offer up a corpse. Varies depending on the former strength of whoever died. 5 offer up treasure. Varies depending on the treasure. Those were the main ways. By the way, it would cost about 20 DP to summon 1 goblin. Under normal circumstances she would be able to summon 1 goblin every 2 days, but the 8 bandits sleeping in the dungeon boosted her DP gain by an additional 80 DP each day, and apparently that number would increase if they stayed inside the dungeon for longer. So, using the 900 DP she saved up through 10 days of being inhabited by bandits, in addition to 100 DP she had stashed away for a rainy day, Rokuko had pooled all of her 1000 DP into rolling a single monster gacha. Yeah. I can understand why she would expect something as strong as 50 goblins after spending 50 goblins worth of DP on something. But sometimes you gamble and you lose. And wait a second, I'm what she got out of a gacha roll. Seriously? So why aren't you a dragon? I mean, it wouldn't be surprising if you had rolled a goblin. You're being too greedy. Rokuko was just way too egotistical. Did she think she was the center of the universe or something? Bad things happen to everyone, you can't expect everything to go well for you. You might even end up being summoned to another world and forced to work against your will even though you just want to sleep. Oh, I forgot to mention. Right now, the 10 DP from the ground doesn't count. Huh? Why not? Rokuko's explanation about DP hadn't mentioned anything about intruders getting in the way of drawing DP from the ground. Well, it costs some DP for me to maintain this form. Speaking of which, Rokuko had mentioned that she was the avatar of the dungeon core or something like that. Does that mean she could save us some DP by vanishing? No, you're misunderstanding something. This is just a special form I use when I want to look fancy. I didn't want the monster I summoned to look down on me. In other words, that's just a temporary form. Oh, can you go back to your normal form then? You're wasting DP. It's not temporary or anything, but okay. 1 second. NNN. Rokuko flashed brightly, and then where she once stood was a blonde loli that looked just like a younger Rokuko. She was wearing a white dress and would only reach my waist even if she stood on her tippy toes. She looked so small and cute a Lilicon would be drooling at the sight of her. Even her childishly spoiled gaze just made me smile as if I were looking at a rowdy kid. So, what do you think? This is the low-energy form I use to save DP. Oh, that's your low-energy form, huh? You look pretty young. HM? Well, I guess I do look like a child from a human's perspective. What, do you like this body more? I'm not a Lilicon, so I think she looked hotter before. I still love her toes even though they're smaller, but I'm not perverted enough to lay my hands on someone that looks like a little girl. So, now we're getting 10 DP again, yeah? 10 DP a day. And we have 9 DP total right now. She must have waited until the very moment she had 1000 DP to roll the gacha, given how basically no DP was left over. I scrolled through the DP catalog, but found that you couldn't even summon a goblin with 9 DP. How about a dragon? Lady, even the weakest dragon there, a lesser dragon, costs 100,000 DP. Haha! Whoever thought they could get an expensive monster like that for 1000 DP sure is an idiot. I searched the household goods page and discovered that I could buy lots of things even with just 9 DP. Alright, I've decided. On what, Kaima? I exchanged 5 DP for a buckwheat pillow. I'm going to bed. Hold on. What about the bandits? Be quiet while I'm sleeping. Night. Yep. DP sure is useful. I rolled onto my side and closed my eyes, listening as Rokuko's noisy cries slowly faded into silence. Day 2 I stood up after waking up and stretched my stiff muscles. The floor was pretty warm, not cold at all, but it was also hard and constantly glowing. Not exactly the best place to get a good night's sleep. I had been hoping that I might find myself back in my room after waking up, but had no such luck. I glanced to the side and saw Rokuko glaring at me. Grr. Why, you're finally awake, Kaima? Yo, Rokuko. How long was I asleep? As if I know. You slept for 9 hours. Ah, my mouth said that on its own. I didn't know if time moved at the same speed as it did on Earth, but I decided to just roll with it and assume I had indeed slept for 9 hours. I checked our DP and saw that our 4 DP had turned into 34 DP. I guess the bandits' DP trickles in over time. The bandits probably aren't all as strong as each other either, so I should just give up on making precise estimations of DP gain. What time is it right now? It's 8 in the morning. By the way, one day has 24 hours in it. Wait. Why am I answering you? Thanks, much appreciated. By the way, end every sentence you say with meow. Don't mess with meow. Each day consisted of 24 hours. As an aside, each year seemed to consist of 12 months, or 365 days. Basically the same thing as Earth. Perfect, I won't have any trouble remembering that. Just for peace of mind, I investigated how much weight my orders held and learned that Rokuko's body would execute them on its own. I'm in another world and there's a girl who has to listen to everything I say. If I weren't a gentleman dedicated to sleep, there would be some adult-only things happening right now. I cancelled the meow order and decided to double-check the situation. What's going on with the bandits? They just woke up and went outside. One stayed behind to stand guard. So, let's summon a goblin or something. DP summoning. Goblin. What? While I was in the middle of being stunned, a faintly glowing circle appeared on the ground. It then flashed brightly, and before I knew it, there was a small, ugly-looking person with green skin standing where the circle used to be. The same thing probably happened when I got summoned. Okay. Not okay. Owie? I thumped Rokuko on the head. I checked our DP and saw that we only had 14 DP left. 20 DP was gone, just like that. Why'd you do that? Getting hit like that hurts. What'll you do if you break me? Don't just up and use DP on your own like that, idiot. What? It's my DP, I can do whatever I want with it. Okay, yeah? She's an idiot. I grabbed onto Rokuko's head and forced her to look me in the eyes. It's not your DP anymore. It's my DP. If you really want to use it for something, get my permission first. You don't want to die, right? Tell me more about this place first. And can we return this goblin? Nope. So, we're right by Tsaya Mountain. By the way, this dungeon's name is... I heard an adventurer say that. Seriously? They're not even thinking of this place as a dungeon. Come on. Hey, won't you kill that bandit for me? We would get lots of DP if you kill him. It feels like he would be worth about 200 DP. That may sound nice, but he would be worth just as much if he stuck around the dungeon for 10 full days. Nah, we're not going to attack the bandits yet. Why not? He's all alone. We could take him down if we had around 10 goblins. You'd spend 200 DP to earn 200 DP. And we don't even have enough DP to summon that many, anyway. But seriously. Goblins are as weak as they look, huh? 10 goblins to take down 1 bandit. Dang. We're gonna keep saving DP for now. Don't waste any of it. We'll be better off saving a ton and using it all at once, and right now, we're better off not agitating the bandits. What'll you do if we send out goblins and they decide to destroy the dungeon core to stop that from happening again? I didn't think about that at all. You sure are smart, Kaima. Nah, you're just an idiot. And now that you know that, listen to everything I say. Got it? Oh, okay. I will. Rokuko nodded obediently. I guess in her energy-saving form, both her body and her mind are that of a kid's. Nah, she was always like that. She's a ditzy airhead through and through. All of a sudden, my stomach grumbled. Oh yeah? I haven't eaten anything since yesterday. Alright, time to eat. Got any food? Eh? Ah, right. Monsters need to eat food, right? I don't need to eat anything, so I totally forgot about that. Guess she's still gonna treat me like a monster. I flipped through the DP catalog for food. There were lots of things there, but I went ahead and spent 5 DP to buy bread and water. A magic circle appeared with a flash, and soon enough, darkish bread and a wood cup appeared above it. After splitting half of it with the quietly sitting goblin, we ate together like pals. The bread was really, really hard. I felt as if it were just sitting in clumps in my stomach, but I was tired enough to just go back to sleep right away. Day 3. 2 days had passed since I was summoned. Looks like we've got 179 DP now. Wait, no. It just went up to 180. I could summon 9 whole goblins with this much. As an aside, I had figured out why the bandits hadn't destroyed the dungeon core. They were using it in place of a foot warmer. The dungeon core glowed faintly and was just a little warm. The boss of the bandits had built his bed in the core room and was putting his feet on it as he slept. I learned that we could look directly out of the master room, but after trying it out, an entire wall turned into a close-up of a dirty foot. Naturally, it was terrible. Hello, Miss Dungeon Core. How does it feel to have your heart getting stepped on? WL. I'm earning a lot of DP thanks to them being here, so. This is like a win-win, you know? Humph. Our lovable blonde loli had gotten teary-eyed after realizing that her heart was being trampled by stinky-looking feet. Honestly, she gets cuter the more time I spend with her. I spent some more time investigating the menu and learned that I could look into the dungeon from basically any angle I wanted by using the existing walls and ceilings. Alright. Guess I should finally start doing something. You'll summon something, right? You'll summon a lot of goblins and kill them all, right? Buying a lizard man for 150 DP might be smart. I won't forgive that bandit boss. Let's stab him to death. Idiot. They'll just kill us in revenge if we try that. Look at how many of them there are. As expected, she felt humiliated over having her heart used as a simple foot warmer. She was practically barking like a dog and growling at the bandit's boss. Though given how cute her appearance was in energy-saving mode, she was more like a puppy than anything. There's 8 of them. We're way too weak to take them on. And if you hadn't summoned that first goblin, we wouldn't need to waste so much DP on food. The maintenance cost. I had never thought of that before. Wait. Didn't you waste a bunch of DP on that futon or whatever? Don't be ridiculous. That futon 50 DP was an absolutely necessary expense. So, what are you going to do? I've got a plan, but... Hey, Rokuko, do you know how to write words? And do you think those bandits can read? Writing? I can write. I saw those bandits reading a book they stole from someone before, so... They can definitely read simple things. Sweet. Then listen closely and write the things I tell you to. Okay. Bus. Wake yup. The boss of the bandits woke up in the cave and saw a chest in front of him. Was this thing here yesterday? Nah, no way. I woulda saw it before sleepin'. The hell is this thing? Where'd it come from? We dunno, boss. Rodridge was on guard and he said nobody brought it inside or nothin'. So what you're saying is, it just poofed and appeared in the middle of this cave like magic? I guess so? The bandit boss investigated the chest, but didn't find any traps inside of it. He opened it carefully and saw that an iron helmet was resting inside. It was a high-quality helmet, and it looked new too. This thing is pretty nice. We could sell it for a lot of money. Or we could use it either way. Boss, there's something written on the bottom of the chest. The hell? Letters? Hey, Brocken. You can read, right? Read this. You got it, boss. Let's see. The boss showed the chest to a subordinate, and made him read it. The contents of the message were unbelievable. I am the Dungeon Core. Thank you for defeating those goblins. This is a present from me. It may take some time, but if you bring me corpses, I can give you more presents. Dungeon Core. Hey, are we in a fucking dungeon? I dunno, I heard this place was just an ordinary cave. Seriously? Looks like luck's finally on my side. Why? Why did you make me thank them? The blonde lowly stomped around in a circle. I can see your white panties, you know? Absolutely shameful. Though, I definitely understood why she was so upset. After all, I had spent every last DP we had giving that present to the bandit's boss. To be specific, I had spent 5 DP on a pen and ink, 5 DP on a treasure chest, and 170 DP on a high-quality steel helmet. We now had absolutely no DP left. 0 DP. Zilch. Why? It would have been way better for us to spend all that DP on goblins. And then die after the bandits came swinging at us? Sorry, but I don't want to die yet. I just want to sleep. But still. That was just. Grr, you traitor. Calm down. That gift just bought us some valuable time. I'll kill them all soon enough, trust me. Eh? Rokuko blinked in surprise, as if she hadn't expected me to say something like, I'll kill them all. But why? Didn't you give them that gift because you're a human and want to help them out? What? No. I just want my sleeping arrangements to be safe. And that's not gonna happen with dangerous guys like them hanging around. Yeah. Then, well, don't you feel bad about killing members of your own species? Nope. I just wanna sleep. And it's not like I'm gonna be doing anything to them myself, so. Alright. I don't have anything else to do today, so I can just go ahead and sleep. I got into my futon and rolled onto my side. Explain what's going on. Alright. I'll explain everything. Tomorrow. Sleep tight. Don't go to sleep. Rokuko's voice faded out as I fell asleep. Day 4. I slept pretty well. I really want a better futon. Good morning. You really slept for the whole day. Don't you get tired of doing that? Not at all. So, now that you're awake, explain what's going on. But first, look at the DP. What's going on? I opened the menu to check our DP and saw that we now had 867 DP. Huh. Oh wow, it shot way up. Not quite as much as I was hoping for, but this will do. Are you saying you knew this would happen? Huh. Basically, but let me ask you this first. Did something happen? Some adventurers attacked. According to Rokuko, a bandit standing guard noticed that adventurers were on their way to the cave, so all the bandits hid in the main room out of sight from the entrance corridor before launching a surprise attack. They then defeated the 4 adventurers without a single scratch on any of them. So, after that, the bandits looted the adventurers' corpses and offered up their corpses to me. They even went out of their way to push them against the dungeon core. I could do that on my own if they just left the corpses lying around in the dungeon, though. They figured that out after I went out of my way to absorb the corpses they weren't pushing against me, I think. They killed them inside of the dungeon, huh? I guess those bandits are smarter than you, Rokuko. What do you mean by that? I mean what I said. After hearing that, Rokuko's smile became a peeved frown, cheeks puffing out. It looked less like she was angry and more like she was pouting. But how did you know that the adventurers were coming? Seriously. Didn't you say yourself that adventurers come here once or twice a month? Now that you mention it, I did say that. But Kaima, wouldn't you prefer it if the bandits left? No, I wouldn't. I can't kill them all if they run away, right? There's a bunch of DP right there waiting for us. I don't want to waste it. I'm gonna squeeze every last bit of value from them that I can. Wow. You called them DP even though you're a human too. Kaima, I'm starting to respect you a little bit. You monster. Thanks. Now I'm gonna go back to sleep. Night-night. You're going back to sleep even though you just woke up. What an idiot. You can obviously only go back to sleep right after waking up. It's a precious opportunity. However, we're gonna add a room. We have enough ink to write another letter on a treasure chest, right? Eh? Oh, right. We do. But are you really going to waste DP on a room? We have so much. Rokuko said that while flipping through the DP catalog and looking at all the monsters we could summon for 800 DP. Ha ha ha! Will this blonde loli never learn? Alright, here I go. After some time. Why did you make me spend 480 whole DP on that guy? Whoa now. 10 DP for the treasure chest and pillow, 20 DP for the 2 wooden doors, and 50 DP for the simple bed. We only spent 80 DP on him. What? It cost 200 DP each to add those rooms, didn't it? Don't be stupid. Unlike that steel helmet, they can't take those rooms from the dungeon and sell them. They're permanently ours. Rokuko tilted her head with a confused expression on her face, not understanding what I had meant. Wait a second. We have a big problem. All of our 870 DP is gone, completely gone. Yeah, 'cause I used it all. On what? Take a look. I showed her the dungeon map. Using the camera, I went outside the dungeon and showed her that I had built another single-room cave elsewhere on the mountain and added a dirt path to connect it with the main body of the dungeon. The room had cost 200 DP and the 5-meter-wide path had cost 30 DP. Ha! I never would have thought about expanding the dungeon from the outside. You sure have a lot of crazy ideas, Kaima. But what are you going to do with that room? Wasn't it a complete waste of DP? Rejoice, my companion. This is a room made especially for goblins, just like you've always wanted. Yay, wait, did I want something like that? Don't you love goblins? She was always telling me to summon goblins this, summon goblins that. It took a bit, but it finally dawned on me. Rokuko loves goblins. She wants to be surrounded by goblins. She wants goblins to serve her. She wants to be queen of the goblins. I think you're taking things the wrong way. Don't worry, I'm not going to make fun of you. Everyone has their own fetishes. My friend, I'll fight by your side even if you do have a massive goblin fetish. Hey, what do you mean by that? What's with that understanding look in your eyes? You don't understand anything. By the way, I'm not a lilicon. I just love feet. The only thing I dig about your current body is your feet. Hey, no. Seriously, what are you even saying? And why do you look so condescending? Anyway, there's nothing left for us to do now that we're out of DP. Time to go back to sleep for the 3rd time. I got back into my futon and listened to Rokuko's voice fade out. How long is that order gonna last? Day 5 I'm awake again, but we still don't have enough DP. Oh yeah? It might be a bit late for this, but I'll go ahead and explain how I'm surviving in here. What I'm eating, how I'm using the bathroom, all that good stuff. Food-wise, I was eating a set 3 times a day. By the way, the bread that came in that set wasn't just hard rye bread. The menu was nice enough to allow me to pick between pastries and even bread prepared with other food items such as meat or vegetables. I would pick the bread with as much food as possible and then split it with the goblin. As for the bathroom, well, I was taking care of business in the corner of the room. Don't worry, I had set up a screen partition and got some toilet paper first. There was nothing else I could do, since I was stuck in the master room. If I tried leaving it, I would end up face to face with the bandits. Thankfully, the dungeon core would suck up everything that came out of me, so we didn't have to worry about the smell or anything. Though Rokuko grimaced whenever she sucked up my poop. How would you feel if someone pooped inside of your heart? Huh? Not good, right? Ha ha ha, you're a girl, you shouldn't be saying poop. What's your problem anyway? The goblin is pooping inside of you too. Shouldn't a goblin fetishist like you be crying of happiness? Hey, seriously, is that really what you think of me? You know I'm an intelligent life form, right? Yeah. You're still kind of a mystery to me, honestly. Despite all that, I hadn't showered at all since being summoned. Just when I was thinking about how my hair would probably start to stink soon, I looked at the goblin next to me. His face was as gruesome as ever, and his massive tusk-like fangs looked like they would really hurt if he bit you with them. His clothes? Nothing but a ragged cloth wrapped around his waist. He's a pretty wild guy. I would have thought that a wild guy like this would start stinking like a dog after a few days of no washing, but he was still completely clean. Did he have some kind of secret I didn't know about? My questions were all answered by Rokuko. Oh, I've been using the survival magic purification on him. It was literally magic. Right. This is a fantasy world. Magic, huh? Well, that's that then. Would you mind casting it on me too? What? You need purification too? Oh, I see. You're playing favorites with the goblin because you have a goblin fetish. No! I just didn't know that dungeon masters needed purification. And anyway, do that yourself, sheesh. Hey, now why are you acting like I can use magic? Eh? You can't? Apparently, all humans were capable of using magic. Even the bandits had been using it when I wasn't looking. Wait, seriously? Do I just know nothing about nothing? Oh, wait. This is a fantasy world, obviously I don't know much of anything. I wonder if I can use purification too. I'll try asking her how to use it. You just, build up your mana and cast purification. That's all. That didn't help at all. What do you mean, build up my mana? What do you mean, just cast purification? Kaima. You can use the menu, can't you? It's basically the same thing as that. Seriously? Purification. Oh wow, that actually worked. A fluffy, lemony sensation washed over my body from head to toe and purified it. Now I can sleep as much as I want, completely clean. By the way, you can cast simple survival spells with just mana and some mental effort, but you'll have to learn stronger spells through scrolls before you can use them. Scrolls? Uh-huh. You could teach yourself the spells by figuring them out from the ground up with logic, but that's not reasonable for most people. Only researchers really do that. So, normally you'll have to use scrolls to learn magic. Well, I've never used a scroll myself, but... Oh, maybe there are some in the DP catalog? I checked the DP catalog and saw that in the treasure section there were plenty of scrolls, like the Fireball Scroll 500 DP or the Earth Barrier Scroll 700 DP. Each spell belonged to an element, and the 4 main elements were earth, water, wind, and fire. There were also special elements known as light, darkness, and space-time. Spells were then classified even further beyond that, with each one either being a bottom rank, low rank, mid rank, high rank, special rank, king rank, or god rank spell. For instance, was a low rank fire spell. And in the midst of all that, there was one mid rank earth spell that caught my eye. Create Golem Scroll 10,000 DP. Very interesting. I might be able to use this spell to summon a servant that will obey my every command. Well, technically Rokuko is kind of like a servant that will obey my every command, but she's a girl. And she looks super young in her energy-saving form. I want something more like a robot to order around. I definitely want to get this scroll soon, but I don't know if I should get it or the equally expensive Heavenly Pillow first. It feels like people are coming. I glanced at Rokuko after she murmured that to me. Bandits? I don't think so. They're probably adventurers. I think the bandits just noticed them too. I guess they're gonna do another surprise attack? Alright. They're almost definitely investigating this cave since those last adventurers never came back. I didn't expect them so soon, but they presented a good opportunity. I decided to tell Rokuko about the rest of my plan to eliminate the bandits. She won't try to do anything unnecessary if she knows what's really going on here. Since they came all the way to investigate us, they're stronger than the last adventurers that came here. After all, it'd just be a waste of time if they sent some weaker people that ended up not coming back either. From the bandits' perspective, they couldn't let anyone see this completely changed and survive to tell the tale. So, they'll have to kill all the adventurers. No survivors. And if those adventurers never return, another group will come to investigate. And of course, that group will be even stronger than the last one. I don't know how long it'll take, but at some point, the bandits will lose. And there you have it. That's the plan I have for slaughtering every single one of the bandits. Right now, my job is just making sure the bandits don't try to flee their hideout before it gets crushed. I wonder what'll happen if someone from this world eats a melon roll or something. Melon roll? What's that? I don't see anything like that in the DP catalog. What are you talking about? It's right there. Though, I did just find it a second ago. Kill. Holy cow, this tastes amazing. This is so good. Kaima, did you used to eat things this tasty all the time? So, after letting Rococo try out some melon roll because she looked pretty curious about it, she started stuffing her face with it, eyes shining. Wait, you eat bread? Wait, I mean, you can actually eat stuff? First time I'm seeing that. What? It's not like I can't eat food or anything. But you don't need to, right? I don't, but it's like a treat. I'm treating myself. Do you have any more? I mean, you know that a single one of these costs 5 DP, right? When it comes with a drink, anyway. You can get 6 of them at once with a pastry set, so that'll be the better deal. It'll be cheaper to buy a drink from a 5 DP barrel, too. Wait a second. Buying in bulk is so cheap I feel like I was getting ripped off before. But I don't remember seeing this in the DP menu before. What's going on? Well, there's a whole world of bread out there, but we need to save DP right now. There's more kinds of bread like this. You don't have to be so stingy. We have like 2,000 DP right now, don't we? It'll be okay if we just spend a little. Just a little. Oh man, she looks dead serious about this. You bought a bunch of useless things like that pillow and futon, didn't you? Let me spend some on myself too. Hey, you got to buy a goblin, didn't you? What? Gobsuk has nothing to do with this. And he was just 20 DP. You're using almost that much every day just to eat, aren't you? Gobsuk? You named him? I never heard about that. Whoa now. Don't forget, I'm splitting half of my food with the goblin. If you include that, he's already cost us way more than just 20 DP. And he's not helping us out at all right now, so he's basically your pet. That's not true. Gobsuk has a lot of potential. He'll be a big help to us. Right, Gobsuk? Gobsuk tilted his head in surprise, as if wondering why we had suddenly brought him into this. For some reason, despite how hideous his goblin face was with its squashed nose and giant teeth, he looked a lot like a dog. I wonder if he'll eat dog food? Well, anyway. I actually don't mind if you spend a little on yourself, as long as you don't go too far. It won't cost us any extra DP if we buy our food and drink in bulk, so that's a bonus. We'll actually save a ton of DP buying in bulk, but I'll keep quiet about that. Yay! Then hurry up and buy me a pastry set. Why don't you do that yourself? You can use the DP catalog too, right? Eh? But I've never seen a pastry set or a melon rolls or anything like those in it. Oh wait, I have more options now. Wow, I didn't know I could buy stuff like this here. Oh, there really are a lot of different kinds of bread. Rye bread, wheat bread, melon roll. So many options. Huh! Wait a second. Hey, tell me what you're seeing in the catalog again. Eh? Like I said, rye bread, wheat bread, and melon roll. Just those 3? Just those 3. Why? I went ahead and bought a pastry set, with my individual choices being cream roll, jelly roll, steamed roll, red bean paste roll, apple pie, and a fried roll. Do you know what these are? Kinds of bread, right? Wow, I've never seen bread that looks like this before. And why does all the bread you summon always end up covered in this weird, transparent stuff? Can I eat that too? Nope, you can't. That's plastic. You rip it apart to get to the food inside. By the way, this is called a jelly roll. Try eating it. A jelly roll. Let's see. Nom, so tasty. Jelly rolls taste amazing too. Wow, there's some yellow stuff inside of it. Oh, so sweet. What is this stuff? It's delicious. I handed over the cream roll, having more or less figured out what's going on. Rokuko, check out the pastry set again and see if you have more options this time. Eh? Okay. I do have more options. I can pick a jelly roll now. Wow, this is all new to me. Alright. The next time you want a jelly roll, buy it yourself. Get it in a set with some melon rolls if you want. Really? Ahaha, okay, then I'll get 3 of each. Oh sure, I'd love to have one of your jelly rolls. Thanks. Yeah? Right after Rokuko summoned her pastry set, I stole one of her jelly rolls. Yep. This is a cream roll. Any way I look at it, this is a cream roll. Plus, it's completely bare without any plastic surrounding it. Sorry, Rokuko. What I gave you was actually a cream roll. This is a real jelly roll. Really? Wow. So this is an actual jelly roll. Whoa, this one has red stuff inside of it. And it's super sweet. It looks like the DP catalog prioritizes displaying only items that the user of the menu is familiar with. It's very possible that it just fundamentally won't show items that the user doesn't know about. Since Rokuko's pastries weren't wrapped in plastic, just knowing the name of something must not be enough for it to be put on the catalog. Does the dungeon need to have absorbed it before? Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. She's absorbed plastic plenty of times. I guess it does have to do with being familiar with the item. Either way, it's very likely that none of this applies to things from this world. I've never seen an actual dragon before, but it's on my menu. Though I do know that dragons are the classic dungeon master monster of choice. I want to dig into this a little more, but this is getting pretty tedious. I don't want to waste DP either. Rokuko was looking at me impatiently as I contemplated the inner workings of the DP catalog to myself. I can eat them now, right? Right. Yeah, go ahead. By the way, those are all the pastries you'll be getting for 4 days, so don't go through them too fast. And be sure to split them with Gobsuk. What? Rokuko froze with half of a cream roll in her mouth. Don't worry, I'll split my food with Gobsuk even if you eat all of those pastries yourself. Not that I'm gonna tell you that, though. Day 11, 2 days after he had lost 5 lackeys, the boss came back from town with some replacements. 19 replacements, even. There were 8 bandits at the start, then the 7 newbies, 5 of which died, so that left 10. Now it's 29, 3 times that. Nice. I wondered where he had gotten them. But then I saw 2 tied-up adventurers in their midst. Whoops. Minus those 2, it's actually 27. Isn't that still enough to form a small village or something? Oh wow. Those are all slaves, except the sacrifices. You can tell just by looking at them. Ah. I see the collars now. Well, whatever. 2 sacrifices. But wait. Bandits can buy slaves in this world? Apparently, humans who break the law can end up slaves. They're called convict slaves. But they'll go right back to breaking the law if bandits buy them. What's even the point? Alright, I'll make a room just for them. I've been wanting to make a jail and see what its deal is for a while now. A jail was an especially expensive, 300 DP room. I was hoping that it'd have some kind of special effect or something. After adding the extra room, the dungeon looked like from above a square with its top right section cut off. Either way, I noticed 2 of the slaves that stood out from the rest. One was an adult woman and one a young girl. They weren't very dirty, likely thanks to this world's survival magic. Yeah, those rags are so torn up they're basically naked. That's hot. But wait a second. The slave the boss is carrying definitely isn't even 10 years old yet. Why'd he buy a kid with dead-looking eyes like that? Is he gonna raise her as his daughter or something? And hold up, she's got dog ears too. Another fantasy staple has come, a dark-skinned dog girl. She even has black eyes and hair. That's the first time I've seen either of those in this world. Actually, I just noticed that the older woman has wings growing out of her arms. Is she a bird person? Is that what I should call them? Bird people? Nah, they're probably called harpies or something. This world sure has a lot of colorful races. Wait. Hold on. There. Sex. Slaves. We're gonna turn into an adult-only story this late in the game? Well, sure, I guess this does make sense. There've only been dudes out there up until now, so. The bandit boss had likely bought those sex slaves to satisfy the lust of his subordinates. And naturally, so he could have some fun himself too. The bandit boss grabbed on to the older woman and groped her body with hands so dirty I questioned whether he had ever used purification on them. He then noisily slobbered on her mouth in a makeshift kiss before pushing her onto the bed and. Whoa, amazing. That's how humans reproduce, right? I've never seen it before. Are you after my body too, Kaima? I'm not a Lilican. And hey, stop watching them. Kids shouldn't be looking at that kind of thing. But you like my feet, don't you? And look. That tiny slave is watching too. Yeah, they're making her walk on her bare feet. That has to hurt. What a waste of nice, shapely feet. Delicious brown skin like hers should be treasured. God, I want to at least give her some socks to wear. Preferably knee socks. White knee socks, or dark knee socks. No, wait. I'd bet socks shaped like puppies would really go well with her dog ears. I feel like you changed the subject there. Don't worry about it. Anyway, time for sleep. Day 18, 1 week had passed since the bandits bought those slaves. In a certain sense, the dungeon has been peaceful. No adventurers have come by and no bandits have died. They went out looting twice, and came back with corpses the second time. For corpses, 600 DP. It must have been too hard to capture them alive. Honestly though, is 2 raiding trips a week really enough to sustain 27 people? Unsurprisingly, the bandits were fucking the harpy every single day, treating her like a sex toy. Yeah. That was the only thing I wasn't too happy about. I knew that was the fate all sex slaves faced, but as a Japanese person, it wasn't so easy for me to get used to. I'm really surprised they haven't gotten tired of doing that yet. It's starting to be a real eyesore. I was starting to like them a little, but I guess I just didn't know them very well. Rokuko's not happy about a woman being brutalized like that, huh? She's got more humanity than I thought. It's like they're covering my dungeon with dirty juices and stuff. It really ticks me off, somehow. Oh, that's what you're upset about. Shouldn't you be getting mad about me using the master room as a bathroom, then? Oh, you and Gobsuk are fine, don't worry about it. You two can't help needing to go to the bathroom. And you're both monsters I summoned myself, so. You're still calling me a monster? Well, I guess you did summon me. It's kind of like you two are just a part of me. I don't like absorbing that stuff, but, like I said, you two can't help it. Alright, makes sense to me. But, shouldn't you, actually love absorbing goblin poop? Kaima? You're misunderstanding something about me. Definitely. By the way, the boss was using the young dog-eared slave as a dakimakura, a body pillow generally with an anime girl on its cover at night, since she had the soft, smooth skin of a child. Aside from that, though, she was just a general maid. She took care of the bandits' trash and whatnot. They would occasionally punch or kick her for no reason, but she didn't respond. She didn't even groan. She just stared ahead with her dead eyes. The silver lining was that they didn't lock her up in the jail. She hung out beneath the boss's bed when she wasn't doing anything else. Humans are really neat. Is that how your species always raises children? No way. That's just child abuse, plain and simple. I don't know how things work in this world, but I'm absolutely confident that they're just being cruel. I turned off the monitor so I didn't have to watch the harpy being raped and then went to sleep. Day 19. Oh wow. There's a ton of people coming. I opened up the map after hearing Rokuko whisper that. By pulling the map back to look around the general area, I could see information about the outside of the dungeon. It was limited to a range about as far as I could see by just looking out the entrance with my naked eyes, but inside that range, there were plenty of details. There I saw that there was already a platoon of red enemy dots, advancing towards our dungeon with a trained pace. It seemed that my peaceful days were finally over. Or perhaps, peace was finally coming for the first time. 30 people, huh? I guess they're finally here. Not sure if this is too early or what. They're finally here? You knew these people would be coming? Yep. This is probably the squad sent to exterminate the bandits. Yeah, the bandits are finished now. The bandits noticed the knights too right after I finished saying that. I opened up the monitor and started watching them. It really was convenient that I could look into the dungeon from any angle, as if every room had multiple security cameras placed within them. One of the boss's scouts had just gotten back to the dungeon. Boss, we're in trouble! Knights are coming. What the? How'd they find us? We killed everyone who saw us here. The boss of the bandits was panicking. He didn't seem to realize that it was precisely because they had killed everyone who found them that knights had eventually been dispatched to eliminate them. But hold on a second. Knights are humans. They ain't invincible, we can kill them too. How many of them are there? Sorry, I ran back here as soon as I saw their armor. There was at least 5 of them. Alright. Guess it doesn't matter how many of them there are. We're still gonna ambush them here in this dungeon. We are? Yeah. We can knock their numbers down with a surprise attack, and either way, we'd be dead if they surrounded us outside. Oh. Nice plan, boss. Alright. It looked like the bandits were ready to fight, and they were planning to do so in the dungeon. Very convenient. I'm so glad I've been teaching the boss how to use the hallways and doors to ambush people in the dungeon. I'm so glad he's not smart enough to realize running away is the best option here. So, do you think the bandits can win? Well, it'll depend on how strong those knights are. But if they're at least as strong as those 3 adventurers from before, the bandits are definitely screwed. They'll all die. It wouldn't be long before I could see the knights directly on the monitor. I decided to watch the bandits get eliminated from start to finish. All this was happening because of me, after all. The bandits spread out, with 8 of them staying in the entrance room, 8 hiding in the room halfway to the core room, and 9 including the boss camping out in the core room itself. Although there was strength in numbers, they wouldn't be able to ambush the knights if they all stayed in one room, though that would be physically impossible anyway. The knights reached the entrance to the cave right after the bandits finished hiding. Let's go get 'em. I felt my shirt being pulled and turned to see Rokuko looking at me with a puzzled expression. Are you sure I shouldn't be absorbing the corpses? We're kinda losing a lot of DP like this. Don't even think about doing that. We won't be able to trick them if you start absorbing those corpses. Trick them? If they learn that dungeons eat people, or at least, if they learn that a beginner dungeon like ours is powering up by eating corpses, they might view us as dangerous and try to destroy the core. I do have a backup plan, but we'll die if the core gets destroyed. Wait. A backup plan? You didn't mention that before. Remember that goblin room I made a while ago? Oh, right. The one that's kinda far away from us. You were calling it a dummy ordinary cave, right? Yeah. The maps here aren't so accurate, so there being another cave nearby shouldn't arouse any suspicion. Maybe. Hopefully, we'll be able to trick them into thinking that the other cave is the actual ordinary cave, and then they'll leave us alone. Oh, okay. I get it. Wait, what about the dungeon core? In truth, I wanted to place the dummy core in the other cave and use the castling function, but that wasn't gonna happen. Oh, by the way, the castling function allowed one to swap the real dungeon core with the dummy core. It was a great tool, but it took 5,000 DP to use. We didn't have enough saved up to use it. Not to mention, it was necessary to connect the dummy core with the real core with a path, which meant it couldn't even be set up if intruders were in the way. Well, we used hallways and doors to separate the rooms on this floor, so worst case scenario, we can turn the core room into an impregnable trap fortress. It was possible to set traps on a floor with intruders by separating rooms with doors and hallways. Though, of course, you couldn't set traps in rooms with invaders in them. But there's a bunch of bandits camping out in the core room. Of course, the bandits count as intruders. Yeah. In other words, All we can do right now is act like an innocent dungeon and hope they leave us alone. I get it. So that's why you don't want me to absorb the corpses. But how are you going to make sure they leave us alone? Oh, let's just see what happens for now. I don't want to tell her that there's actually nothing we can do right now. I shifted my focus back to the knights. This must be their treasure room. The bed. I recognize this smell. They must have a woman with them. But this smell is so intense, I imagine they aren't using purification to clean up much. Or perhaps the smell is so intense it won't come out no matter how many times they cast it. The knights had started to investigate the boss's bedroom. By the way, the dog-eared girl was still underneath the bed. She stared ahead with her dead eyes, not moving an inch. Eventually, the knights advanced to the next room without finding her. That wouldn't have happened if they had used life search, but they didn't for some reason. Maybe it only had a limited number of uses. We had taken anything that looked even a little good into the master room before the knights got there. That said, it's not like there was anything good before we went through the stuff. Most of it was just moldy bread. The only really useful thing was, a light enchanted magic item? It worked kind of like a lantern. The only things left for the knights were food and the shoddiest of the bandits' treasure. One of them placed his hand on a door and made to open it, but at that moment, a sword had sprouted from the door. Gah! A bandit had stabbed at the knight through the door itself in a surprise attack. He then kicked down the door and started swinging. And before I knew it, the battle was over. But eventually they reached the core room. Though the knights themselves wouldn't realize it was the core room until they opened the door. I shifted my gaze to the bandits. One of them had been crouching by the door with his ear against it. I caught him right as he stood up to go report to the boss. Looks like they're here. All right. Archers, get ready. And be quiet. Shoot them down right after they open the door. Boss, are we gonna be all right? Humph. They should be pretty worn down by now. All we'll have to do is finish them off with a final push. I wondered how they would react if I told them that the knights had healed themselves and weren't worn down in the least. That'd have to remain a mystery, though. I didn't want them to try and destroy the core as a final act of revenge. The wooden door to the core room creaked open. The boss signaled for the archers to shoot the moment the door opened wide enough. Clang! Clang! The arrows noisily bounced off all the knights' armor. Except for one. By pure luck, good luck for the bandits, bad luck for the knights, one arrow slipped through the eye slit on one of the knights' helmets and pierced his brain. I saw our DP shoot up before my eyes. They had killed him in one shot. Louis! Bloody hell, he's dead! We only got one of them. Boss! Come on, boys! Aim for the joints! Our swords'll just bounce off their armor. You'll pay for this, bastards! Humph, making a slave like that attack for you won't change a thing. The harpy slave tried to obey the boss's order, but her legs were too weak for her to move very well. She was cut down in seconds. Our DP went up. Wait a second! Aren't you Melon Puke Waver? Don't call me by that name! The boss of the bandits charged forward in a rage. The force of his first blow knocked the armored knight to his knees, and the boss wasted no time to drive his sword into a gap in the knight's armor. He then twisted his sword around as hard as he could inside of the knight's body. Our DP went up again. And what kinda nickname is Melon Puke anyway? What? This is the shameless fellow who puked up a melon while dining with the princess. You'll pay for killing Louis and Eugene, vomit face. I only threw up because the melon had gone bad. It wasn't my fault. Why'd she have to fucking put a bounty over my head? Not only did you eat too much and throw up as a result, but you unjustly blamed the chef for serving rotten food and killed him. Right in front of the princess, too. Shut up. He was just jealous because the princess had fallen in love with me. I'd be the emperor right now if it weren't for him. Fucking damn it. Oh, thanks for explaining why he's called Melon Puke. I'm more or less guessed from the name, but still. That was a wild story. After that, Melampuke got so mad he fought far better than I had ever expected. He killed one more knight and wounded several others. But that was as far as he got. His allies that had been assisting him from the side were gradually cut down, and soon enough he was surrounded. In the blink of an eye, a sword was thrust clean through his stomach. Phyuck. And things were just getting started. For me. Melampuke collapsed onto his knees and then fell to the ground. One of the knights grabbed onto his hair and pulled his head up. All right, Melampuke. Do you have any more allies anywhere? Nope, you already killed everyone, fuck. Why'd this happen? I did everything, they said. His voice had gotten pretty raspy, but the knights still heard him loud and clear. And so, the final bandit turned into DP just like all the others. Was there someone pulling the strings here? They might have gotten away. He said this was everyone, but we can't be sure. Oh. It looks like this room has the dungeon core. Yeah? Huh. So that's a dungeon core. I've never seen one before. This was a pretty shallow dungeon, just like we heard. Only had one floor. One of the knights pointed his sword at the dungeon core sprouting out of the wall. Auriite. Time to destroy the core. Destroy the core. Hey, what did you just say? You're gonna do what now? My mouth dried up. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. I watched through the monitor as the knight lifted up his sword. And then brought it down. Gob. Gobsuk? Gobsuk jumped out of the master room. Neither I nor Rokuko could stop him. It might have been his natural instincts as a dungeon monster to do everything in his power to stop the core from being destroyed. Take this. We watched as Gobsuk popped into the core room and was immediately cut down. He was cut clean in half and died just like that. Friggin' goblin, getting in my way. Let's try that again. Hey! What do you think you're doing, new guy? This dungeon is under our protection. The captain stopped the knight after he rose his sword into the air again. This is a low-tier dungeon that the Adventurers Guild manages. It only ever produces goblins and is as simple of a dungeon as can be. Oh, that's right. My apologies, Captain. The knight lowered his sword after being stopped by the captain. Crap. I was so close to destroying a dungeon core and becoming a holy paladin. I understand how you feel, but our job here is done. And if you could become a holy paladin through destroying the core of a dungeon that doesn't even have a dungeon boss, the capital would be overflowing with holy paladins right now. Well, that's true. Wouldn't it just be embarrassing to be knighted as a holy paladin for destroying a weak dungeon like this? Thinking about it, Melampuke was more or less the dungeon boss. Do you want them to say, "Oh, holy paladin, who conquered the ordinary cave and defeated Melampuke," or something like that? You'll get destroyed, man. People would call you the Melampuke paladin or the holy paladin of the ordinary cave, something like that. I wouldn't want that. Rokuko was crouched down on the floor, crying. Goblin or not, we had spent the past few weeks together with Gobsuk. We had tons of memories together. Okay, not really. The only thing we did together was eat meals every now and again. I wonder if Rokuko ever did anything with him while I was asleep. At least give back the jelly rolls I lent you before dying. I guess not. We were united only by food. Gobsuk. We really owe him a lot now. If not for him, the core probably would have been destroyed and we'd be dead right now. I'd opened the menu and bought a set of 6 jelly rolls for Rokuko. Here, have some jelly rolls. Cheer up. Eh? Really? I'll cheer up, I'll cheer so up. So up. Rokuko cheered up so much that I thought light would start shining out of her eyes. Oh, right. This girl's a monster that sent countless goblins to their deaths to try and protect herself from adventurers. The bandit corpses were piled up in the entrance room. It looked like the knights would be taking their deceased allies back home with them. It was honestly pretty disgusting, but I couldn't look away. I needed to stay focused and look for an opportunity to score some extra DP. They're pouring oil on them. I guess the plan is to burn the bodies. In the middle of the cave, though. Air flows through dungeons no matter how deep they get, so I guess they may just not be aware that suffocating due to lack of oxygen is a thing outside of water. That was convenient for me. Once the fires rose up, I'd be able to absorb the bodies without any problems. Hey, should we do anything about that dog-eared slave? By the time Rococo remembered that, flames had already burned down the door to the boss's room and were fast approaching the bed under which the dog-eared girl was hidden. Her dead eyes reflected that she had completely given up. The deceased harpy slave had the same eyes before she died. Huh. I didn't do anything to protect her from the bandits, but I get the feeling she'll appear in my dreams if I don't save her here. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. She can just turn into DP for us. No, wait. We're gonna save her. Can we get her in here somehow? No. Do you want to go outside and try to get her yourself? Everything's on fire out there. She'll be dead before you get there. Rococo was right. Since there was an intruder on the floor, we could only enter and exit the master room through the dungeon core. And outside of the dungeon core was a sea of fire. Physically saving her would be beyond impossible. Plus, we can't withdraw intruders or anything like that. She's not an item. After hearing Rococo say that, an idea struck me like lightning. No. What are you talking about, Rococo? She is an item. Eh? I started to talk as if trying to convince both myself and Rococo of that. Slaves are tools. They belong to people. In other words, they're items. Honestly, I've never seen her do anything on her own. She only ever obeyed orders. And now her owner, the boss of the bandits, is dead. The owner of that slave. That item is gone. When the owner of an item dies in a dungeon, their items become the dungeon's items. Which means that girl is now an item belonging to us. Right, Rococo? But she's a living being with mana. Items aren't like that. Remember how we withdrew that moldy bread earlier? Well, mold is a living being. We could withdraw a treasure chest even if a mouse was inside of it, right? There's no reason why we couldn't withdraw a living being like a human. We can't because she has mana? That doesn't make sense. Magical items have mana. We withdrew that light enchanted magic item, remember? Same deal. We can do this too. We can withdraw her. I glanced between the monitor and the map. The fire had reached the bed and started burning the sheets black. The map still displayed the dog-eared girl as a red dot, signifying her as an invader. Crap, that still wasn't enough. I didn't convince Rococo hard enough. But I'm telling you, slaves aren't items. Then she's not even a slave. She's a dakimakura. It's a dakimakura. A pillow in the shape of a super young dog-eared girl. Just look, it can fit under the bed so we guys can hide it when the parents come home. The only option left for me was to use conditioning on myself. In other words, hypnosis. And hypnosis is basically the same thing as sleeping. This is my time to shine. That's a dakimakura, that's a dakimakura, that's a dakimakura, that's a dakimakura. I imagined it. That girl was a dakimakura. A dakimakura that'd feel amazing to squeeze in bed. It had ears to tease and play with. It was shaped like a human so one could dress it up with clothes and knee socks before playing with it. Wow. This is going pretty well. Yeah. I can't let a dakimakura that amazing get burned up. It'd be a total waste. I want to sleep with that dakimakura. I could spend hours putting different kinds of knee socks on it. It looks pretty nice and warm, too. I could use it as a makeshift heater when the weather gets colder. Speaking of heaters, the boss of the bandits used Rococo's core as a heater for his feet. Oh, I'm getting off subject a little. You know, I wonder if that dakimakura is more expensive than a heavenly pillow. A dark-skinned, dog-eared, little girl pillow must be expensive. That's a high-grade item. To some people, that would be the most heavenly pillow in the world. A thorough cleaning will make it clean as new. Yep. Purification sure is useful. I wonder how well it'll clean a dakimakura. Either way, at least I don't have to worry about taking the cover off and drying it outside where a neighbor might see it. By that point, the dogged girl had turned entirely into a dakimakura in my mind. I glanced at the map and saw that instead of a red invader dot, there was a green dot indicating an item. Alright, it's a dakimakura. Withdraw! To sum it up, I did it. Yeah. How did you withdraw her? Invaders can't come into the master room. Huh! All I did was withdraw a dakimakura. Oh yeah, and be sure to absorb the bandit corpses before they all burn up. But leave half of them behind, just in case the knights come in to check up on them. Its hair is a little burnt. What a waste of pretty black hair. Well, hair can grow back, so no big deal. I'll just cut off the burnt parts. A short haircut would look good on it. I rubbed the soot off its squishy cheeks. Oh man, this thing feels really nice. I tried casting purification on the dakimakura. The purification magic formed a bubble-like shape like always and lowered itself through the dakimakura from head to toe, thoroughly cleaning off all the filth that The dakimakura let out a cute squeal. Wyatt reminded me. This is actually the dogged slave girl. Not a pillow. Phew. A bit longer like that and I might never have snapped out of my own hypnosis. Alright, I'm back to my senses now. See? I told you we could withdraw her. Oh, you're back to normal? Then explain how you did that. Sure. It's pretty simple. I could do it because it was possible. You thinking you couldn't do it was just an assumption on your part. Magic is more free and less restrictive than you think. Though doing all that was pretty tiring. You saw it, right? I withdrew a slave. 'Cause they're items. Wow. I had no idea you could withdraw slaves, but I guess you can. Yeah, it should be smart to make Rokuko think that. I don't want to have to hypnotize myself again the next time we need to withdraw a slave. But anyway, what should we do with this dogged girl? Should I actually start using her as a dakimakura? By the way, what's this girl's name? It's kind of hard to talk about her without knowing her name. That's a good point. Do you have a name? Or at least, something that people call you? People called me and the others Nika. Master. Alright. You're Niku then? Her response was pretty slow, but she did answer me. Either way, the first thing to do was let her rest. I bought her a futon and some food with DP to start things off. She didn't move at first, but she ate the food and got into the futon after I ordered her to. I decided to think more about what to do with Nika after the knights left. As long as they were still around, we weren't safe. Day 20 the knights didn't really do much after that. They quietly made camp, checked that the corpses had all burned by noon, and then left. Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive that they managed to cook meat and eat it while corpses were burning like 30 feet away from them. Like honestly. Wow. We got a lot of DP thanks to all the dead bandits, and how the band of 30-some knights stayed within the dungeon radius for almost an entire day. We didn't even have any problems absorbing the thoroughly burnt corpses. Suffice to say, we made bank. Adding it all up to what we had before. Our DP stock had shot up to 14,504 in one fell swoop. Wow. I've never seen this much DP before in my life. Compared to how little DP we were earning before, we had basically gotten rich overnight. But since the bandits were gone, our daily DP gain was less than before. We didn't have to worry about Gobsuk anymore. But in his place, we had the dogged slave. We had to feed her too. 3 meals a day with food and drink. We'll be losing about 10 DP every day. But our natural DP gain was only 10 a day. Maybe due to how we had withdrawn her as an item, the slave girl wasn't earning us any DP. Though it was also possible that she just wasn't strong enough to be worth any DP in the first place. Thanks to that, our DP earnings a day totaled to a spectacular 0. Wait, no? We were technically in the negatives since we would need to summon goblins whenever adventurers came just to avoid suspicion. Could I sleep well in a situation like that? No, I couldn't. I was a cautious man. I couldn't bear to sit and watch as my savings slowly dwindled. So, unable to bear the weight of losing DP, I decided to fundamentally change this ordinary cave. I don't want to work. Day 21 alright. Now that things have settled down, and there aren't any bandits, let's think about what to do next. The main thing on my mind is that create golem spell I saw earlier. Magic that can make golems. Yep, that sounds perfect. Things will be easier for me if I can make golems do all the work for me. Yeah? But all that magic can do is make golems. You should just use that DP to summon golems as monsters instead. They cost 100 DP each, and they're strong enough. So basically, this spell will pay for itself after I use it to create 100 golems. Every golem after the 100th is basically free. Wow, what? That's amazing! But to be honest, there's way too many unknown factors to actually know that for sure. How strong will the golems I make be? Can I really summon them for free? Will I even be able to summon 100 of them? The spell may not end up paying for itself, it's impossible to tell right now. To tell the truth, I halfway want it just because I want to try making some golems. I mean, it sounds really fun, right? Let's not tell her about all this. Alrighty then. I'll have one create golem scroll, please. And... sweet, there it is. I used 10,000 DP to buy a create golem scroll, and soon enough a string-tied scroll made of animal skin appeared. I tried not to think about how we had just lost 2/3 of our DP in a single purchase. Let's try to use this thing. I undid the string and unrolled the scroll. It had create golem written along the top of it with a magic circle in the middle. How do you use scrolls like this? Just pour your mana into the magic circle. I followed Rokuko's advice and tried pouring my mana into the magic circle. It felt a lot like using the survival magic spell purification, somehow. All I had to do was put my hand on the magic circle and clench it into a fist before I started feeling mana flowing out of my body. It was just a little tiring. My mana flowed into the magic circle and started running along its lines. So this is what it's like to let mana flow into something. How long should I do this anyway? I guess I should just keep pumping out mana until it works. My mana flowed progressively faster into the magic circle. Once it reached its limit or something, the magic circle suddenly stopped resisting the flow of my mana, causing it all to burst and rain back onto me. It felt as if the composition of the magic circle was being ingrained within me as my body was showered with mana. Actually, it probably was being ingrained within me. Once it finished, I bet I could use create golem. As for the scroll, the magic circle on it was scorched black, and after all my mana left it, the whole scroll caught fire and turned to ash. I decided to go ahead and try out create golem immediately. 2 things were necessary to use it: mana, and material to make the golem's body with. Somehow, I just knew that. Knowing instinctively how to use a spell must be one side effect of using a scroll. It seemed that using the ground itself to make clay golems was the most simple thing to do. The golem could have its shape changed by mana. I stood up to leave the master room and go dig out some clay, but before I left, I noticed Meat sitting in the corner of the room with her arms around her legs. She had woken up at some point without me noticing. That was where Gobsuk always used to sit. Nostalgic. I don't have to go outside myself. If I have a tool available to me, I better use it. Hey, Meat, go outside and mine some clay for me. Not a lot, just about this much. Oh, okay. Understood, master. I ordered Meat to go outside and bring back about a soccer ball's worth of clay. Man, she really does look dead inside. I've never seen an expression that blank in my life. After a while, Meat came back with the shovel and clay. The way she was holding up the clump of clay with her tiny body made it look really heavy. Actually, I bet it actually was heavy for a child like her. It's kinda late to say this, but Meat can go in and out of the master room on her own without any issues. Maybe because Rokuko thinks it's normal for that to be possible, or something? Sweet, good job. You can rest now. I patted her head and praised her. While I was at it, I cast purification on her since her hands had gotten dirty with clay. She let out a cute "Hi Afyu!" cry for some reason. Does it tickle when I cast purification or something? I should have Rococo cast it on her later as an experiment. Depending on Nika's reaction, I might just learn something. Alright, no point waiting around. Create golem! I sent my mana flowing into the clump of clay. The mana formed circuits within it, and morphed the clay into the shape of a person. Perhaps thanks to the scroll, the image of a perfect golem arose in my mind. Well, it's actually a lot smaller than I expected, but that's fine. Probably. Everything will be okay. Obeying the instructions that were filling my mind, I kneaded the clay with my hands while pouring more mana into it. It didn't take long until the clay turned into a, somewhat small, human-shaped golem. I had based its design on the things I had played with at school before being summoned. In other words, it looked like a 30 centimeters tall robot. Instead of a servomotor moving its joints, though, there was magic. Its body was made of clay instead of plastic and aluminum. Its movements were controlled by an embedded magic circle instead of a CPU. It had a magic stone powering it instead of a battery. Wait, we didn't have any magic stones. Oh well. We can just power it externally. The magic power floating around inside the dungeon's air should be good enough. After spending about 10 more minutes sending mana into it, the 30 centimeters tall mini clay golem was complete. Wow! What's that? A golem. What's with all the question marks? Well, golems are usually way bigger than an adult human. I'm pretty sure we would need to make a lot more than 100 of these for the scroll to pay for itself. I mean, I don't know what's normal or not, so. Either way, we'll just have to make 10,000 of them then. I decided to just order the golem around and see what happened. First, I made it start working on expanding the cave. That would help us save more DP. After bringing up the map and ordering the golem to go to the goblin room and start mining inwards through the mountain, the freshly made mini clay golem left the master room without even grabbing the shovel. Golems sure are dumb, aren't they? That shovel would make his job so much easier. Nope. You don't know what you're talking about, Rococo. I'm basically stunned here, shocked by the vast potential golems have. Rococo must have been thinking something like, golems can't do anything complicated. But that was way too narrow of a mindset. If you think about it, dig into the mountain is a pretty complicated order on its own. To make a robot in modern Japan do something like that, you need to first teach it how to mine a wall in the first place from the ground up. Not only that, but telling them, go here, wouldn't work. You'd have to tell them exactly how many steps to take, and even how to move their legs. They wouldn't stand up on their own if they fell over, and if they hit a wall on the way there, they'd keep walking into the wall forever. But with magic, all I had to do was say, go here and mine into the wall. Golems were amazing. I'm seriously moved right now. But using magic was pretty tiring. I think I'll just go to sleep now. Oh, right. I'll try using meat as a Dakimakura. That's why I saved her, anyway. Kind of. Come here, little girl. Don't worry, I won't do anything perverted to you. Yep. I won't make you wear any socks or anything yet. That can come after we know each other better. Day 21. Let's just make one thing clear. Humans are not good Dakimakuras. I tried using meat as one, but... Oh, don't worry. I didn't take her clothes off or anything, I seriously just used her as a Dakimakura. Anyway, it was nice at first. Her skin was nice and smooth, plus her hair smelled nice. But it didn't take long for a problem to arise. Her body heated up fast. She got so hot. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to handle this outside of winter. I finally understand why people huddle together to stay warm in survival movies and stuff. Though I have heard that kids have especially high body temperatures. And I've also heard that dogs are hotter than humans. In which case, it makes complete sense that a dogged little girl would be extremely hot. Plus, it wasn't until I noticed how heavily she was breathing that I realized she was running out of air beneath the covers. That was pretty dumb of me. Obviously, she would struggle to breathe without access to fresh air. I hurriedly pulled her head out of the covers. which ended up with us lying in bed together, face to face. Her cheeks had flushed from the heat and her mouth was hanging weakly open, which made her lips look really sexy. Wait, no. I'm not a lilicon. Seriously, I'm not a lilicon. Her breath was tickling me, so I made her turn and face the other way. I didn't do that because she was making my heart beat too fast to sleep. Her breath was ticklish. That was all. With that, I was finally comfortable enough to sleep. But then another problem arose. A pretty big problem, too. You see, Meat couldn't move while I was using her as a dakimakura. She'd have to push me off her if she wanted to get up, but as a slave, she couldn't do that. Can you imagine what happened because of that? She peed herself. Okay. I knew it was my fault. I felt something wet when I woke up and then panicked like crazy after seeing Meat crying in my arms. I stood us up and cast purification on me, her, and the futon while patting her head and telling her that everything would be okay. Yeah, it was my fault. I'm sorry. Next time you need to go to the bathroom, just push me aside and go. To show how sorry I am, you can eat as much food as you want today. Ask for anything, it's yours. Okay? Here, have a hamburger. They taste super good. So stop crying. I'm sorry, it was my fault. Meat finally calmed down after she finished eating the hamburger. Okay. I would like to begin our first meeting on what to do with Kaima, the pervert who loves to make his slave girl pee on him. Hey, hold up. That's a pretty biased way of framing things, Madam Judge. It was an accident, Your Honor, I swear. I used my position as dungeon master to make Rokuko shut up about how I had accidentally made Meat pee herself. She immediately fell silent, so I decided to start making more golems. The mini clay golem I made yesterday had been working all night. Yeah, I should check out how he's doing first. Let's see here. I brought up the dungeon monitor from the menu and checked up on the golem I had ordered to dig into the mountain. The mini clay golem was steadily scratching away at the wall. His spirit was admirable, but he hadn't made any progress at all. The bare rock wall was just too strong for his clay hands to wear down. That was my mistake. I should have given him a pickaxe or something. See? He'll just keep on doing what you told him to, no matter what. How long can he stay active? I think it has something to do with the magic stone inside of it. Well, obviously, he'll stay active until he runs out of mana. I mean, he's a golem. But dungeons are filled with mana, so he basically should never stop as long as he's inside of one. Wow, that's crazy. He basically doesn't need any energy to keep moving. I was losing my mind over how far golems had surpassed my expectations. It was looking like I would be able to just leave everything to the golems and sleep as much as I wanted. Seriously, what? That's not a golem, no way. Like, golems just don't look like that. It's a clock. Yup. It was a golem clock. I had given each of the golem arms different instructions. I told the first arm to rotate completely every 60 seconds, the second arm every 60 minutes, and the last one every 12 hours. In other words, the individual arms became the seconds, minutes, and hours hands of a clock. Together they formed a clock that would keep working as long as it had mana. Making sure it stayed accurate would be pretty annoying, though. By the way, I had realized halfway through that I didn't need to make the golem arms look like actual arms, which is why they ended up being needle-shaped, like the arms of a real clock would be. Everything was made from clay, but I doubted anyone would realize the clock was actually a golem. Why, you really made a golem shaped like that? What, Kaima? You don't have any common sense, do you? Seriously? You're the one who summoned me from another world. How would I know what's common sense here? So, what are you going to do with that anyway? You can just look at the menu if you want to know what time it is, so. The time of day and such was displayed on the Dungeon Master menu that I could use. I'll give it to Meat. I only made this an experiment, so yeah. Now I know more about what I can do with golems. This wasn't a waste of time at all. And so, I gave Meat the watch as a present. At which point I realized that Meat was still wearing torn-up rags as clothes. Holy crap. I immediately bought some cheap clothes dress, 8 DP, cheap shoes child-sized, 10 DP, and knee socks white, 70 DP. While watching Meat change clothes, I realized that she was missing something and quickly bought a set of female child's underwear, 20 DP. That was close. All that cost a fair amount of DP, but she could keep wearing all that pretty much forever thanks to purification. It even worked on her underwear no problem, thankfully. The clothes looked nice enough, but I wanted to dress her up in a much cuter outfit once we could spare the DP. Same for Rokuko. Her DP saving form is pretty cute itself, but her other form was pretty much my exact type. She looked super cute and her feet were the definition of pretty. They were truly spectacular. Seriously. I couldn't stop fantasizing about making her wear all sorts of socks. I attached a leather string 2 DP to the golem clock and hung it off Meat's neck. She stared at it for a long time without saying anything after I said it was hers. I thought that was because she really liked it, but then I realized she probably just didn't understand what it was. Right, she's a slave. There's probably a lot she doesn't know about the world. Starting tomorrow, I'll teach her everything she needs to know. By proxy, through Rokuko. Do your best, Rokuko. I mean, seriously, what's Rokuko been doing anyway? She's basically done nothing for the past month. She needs to work a little harder. I'll have her do my work for me. No, wait. No. The only future I see with Rokuko as leader is one where our dungeon turns into a goblin paradise, and then collapses immediately. I repaired the hands of the mini clay golem, taking the opportunity to turn them into stone shovels. It was actually pretty simple to do that. The stone became pliable like clay after I poured enough mana into it, making it very easy to morph into a shovel-esque shape. And here we have the new and improved mini clay golem, Shovel Edition. It felt like it took less mana to mold clay than it took to mold stone. In which case, it would probably be better if I made my first human-sized golem out of clay and just gave it a pickaxe. That could come after I spent some more time experimenting with this mini clay golem, though. I knew it wouldn't ever stop moving inside the dungeon, but how long would it last outside of the dungeon? I decided to test that and watched as Tessel moved around for about 1 solid hour before stopping. I needed to be careful about that. Stop golems would resume moving if you poured mana into them. It depended on the magic stone inside of them, but normally they could last 1 hour. I knew that thanks to knowledge from the Create Golem scroll. But wait, what the heck is a magic stone anyway? I know it functions like a battery, but that's all I know. Seriously? You'll give me knowledge that involves magic stones, but won't tell me what they are. Hey, Rokuko. What are magic stones? Magic stones are just, stones filled with mana. You can usually take them from monsters. Why don't you try buying some with DP? Rokuko casually said that to my offhand remark. It was like wool being pulled from my eyes. Holy crap. Is it just me or is DP way too useful? Dang, I didn't even think about doing that. I can't believe I needed you to remind me about the DP catalog. Am I just an idiot? I'm disappointed with myself. What's that supposed to mean? I took a look at the DP catalog. Magic stones were in the treasure section, in the same category as jewels. There were varying grades of magic stones, with the cheapest kind being 10 DP each and the most expensive being several tens of thousands of DP. But for now, I settled with buying just the cheapest ones to experiment with. But it was getting pretty tiring calling him Mini Clay Golem every time I talked about him, and so, I decided to give him a name. You will now be known as Tessel. Your name is Tessel. Got it? The Mini Clay Golem, now known as Tessel, nodded as if saying, got it. I then changed his order, making him instead go outside of the cave and gather clay for me. Hey, Meat. Can you read and write? No, I can't. I'm sorry, Master. Meat lowered her head sadly. Hey, you know I'm not mad, right? You're making me feel bad, somehow. That's okay. Rokuko, teach Meat how to read. I'll let you eat a lot of melon rolls if she learns well. Same for you, meat. You can eat as many hamburgers as you want if you do well. Study hard. Eh? I can eat as many melon rolls as I want. Okay. She can. Can I really? Hamburgers always made Meat's eyes light up. Thinking about it, Meat had gotten a lot more lively than she was in the past. The dead eyes she had when I saved her were completely gone. Perfect. No kid should ever have to look like that. But you know, dog girls really do love Meat, huh? I would need Meat to do work for me outside of the cave before long, so the sooner she learned to read and write, the better. I got back to work making golems while Rococo taught Meat how to read and write. Normally it'd be about time for me to go to bed, but there was one thing I prioritized over sleep: preparations for sleeping really well. I was prepared to cut down on my sleeping time for the sake of sleeping better. Yeah, basically, sleep was still the most important thing to me. Day 25. After doing research on golems for some days, I had found out that you could do anything with Create Golem spell. Ladies and gentlemen, cores and slaves, I welcome you. This is the hope that illuminates this mysterious world. I present to you the culmination of my golem research, I said with a triumph look, but Rococo was dumbfounded. Hey, I don't see a golem here. What did you want to? Before Rococo can finish her sentence, I said, just you wait, my darling core. After saying that, I showed her some moves and kicks which only trained professionals can do after training for years. But knowing it was me who couldn't even fight, Rococo was shocked. How was that? I asked her after losing my breath in some seconds. Being somewhat impressed, Rococo said, it looked just like those knights from the other day. How did you do it? Simple, I turned my clothes into golems, and had them help my movements. Huh? Rococo was shocked again. She was like, what the hell? At first I made a powered armor, but it was heavy, stood out, and was too clumsy. And then I realized I could make golems out of anything, even cloth. Meat saw how out of breath I was and brought me some water. While Rococo, being Rococo, was dumbfounded. This is a golem? These are just clothes, Kaima, you think weirdly. With a magic stone, the golems can work outside, so it should not be a problem going to the town. Kaima, you're going to a town? I won't be able to do much just staying inside here forever, and now that the knights have eliminated all the bandits for us, the road to town should be pretty safe. There's a lot of things I want to learn about, which means I need to do a lot of information gathering. I'll have to go to town eventually. Like how apparently you can become a holy paladin by destroying a dungeon core. If that's true, people might come by here looking to destroy our core. I needed to figure out what the people of this world thought about dungeons. Are dungeon masters stuck inside their dungeon or something? No, don't worry, there's no rules like that. It's just, I thought you weren't planning on ever leaving the master room. Right. I haven't left the master room even a single time after being summoned to this world. That's because there were bandits out there. How could I go outside? They'd have killed me. That's true. I can't blame you for that. Day 27. Meat learned to read and write pretty fast, so I rewarded her with a hamburger. Rococo was already munching happily on the melon roll I had given her. So heartwarming. By the way, master, would you please register your mana on my collar? Huh! It was rare for Meat to talk on her own like that. I didn't know what she was talking about at first, but apparently the submission collar Meat was wearing had a mana registration system. I've heard that every person in the world has a unique wavelength to their mana. Oh, huh? Like fingerprints? You can't take off the collar yourself? I can't. It would kill me. A submission collar was a relatively cheap item used primarily to choke its wearer, but when someone became a slave, they would be forced to make a contract through magic where they would die if the submission collar was ever removed. Basically, contract magic would kill the slaves if they tried taking their collars off. Yep, this thing is a real pain. Alright, I'll definitely register my mana then. I want to avoid as many problems as possible here. Okay. Please pour your mana into the plate on my collar. After you do that, please check whether it worked by squeezing the collar. I placed my fingers on the plate and poured mana into it. Yeah. It definitely felt like my mana connected to some password channel system thing. Registration complete? I wasn't too happy about it, but I envisioned Meat's collar squeezing as a test to see if it worked. And then. Whoa! See, cancel! Stop choking her! I saw the collar squeeze tightly. It was visibly digging into her neck. That's not light squeezing at all. Holy crap! Stop! What kind of monster would do this to someone just to call them over? Meat, teary-eyed from having her oxygen supply cut off, replied to me with flushed cheeks while coughing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Hey. Now I'm your slave for real, master. Meat smiled brightly. What? This is the first time I've ever seen her smile. Why now? Day 28. All right, Rokuko? Only summon 5 goblins if any adventurers come. Only 5. No more than that. When you buy melon rolls, get them from the pastry set. You can have 2 a day. We'll see. You be careful too, Kaima. Okay? And so, I left the cave with Rokuko staying behind to keep watch. It hit me that I was leaving the master room for the first time. I had been letting me take care of getting clay and recovering Tessel and all that good stuff. I could just use the monitor whenever I wanted to look outside. What if the outside air is poisonous to people from my world or something? Like, what if the planet's mana is actually super deadly to me? Aren't we going? Why, yeah, we're going. Right now. Right now. Hurry up and go already. Don't push me, alright? No matter what. Don't push me. Push you? Okay. Hold on. What's going on here, automatic translator? Rokuko pushed me on the back, forcing me out of the master room. I ended up in the dungeon's core room, completely fine. Alright, sweet. Nothing bad happened at all. Phew, I really worked myself up over nothing. I mean, how could mana be poisonous to me? I've been casting spells almost constantly. Yeah. Are you okay, master? I'm fine. Totally fine, feeling great. Let's go then. Why are we just standing at the cave's entrance? You know, come to think of it, I'm the dungeon master. Should I really be leaving the dungeon willy-nilly like this? I dunno. I think I should be more cautious about this and take things really slowly. Hiya. Why are you pushing me? Don't push me. Eh? You want me to push you? Okay, I will. Why? Why aren't you doing your job right, Mr. Automatic Translator? Why you've stolen my first time going outside. And my precious first time. Yeah, nothing bad is happening. Why would anything bad happen anyway? I'm being silly. I took another cautious step outside, but moved so slowly that Meat started to pull on my clothes. Master? Right. Sorry. Let's get this show on the road. And so, I took my first step towards the forest. Should I push you? Yes, please. We hadn't encountered any major problems so far, but it still frustrated me that I had to leave safety to go outside where my very life was at risk. I grumbled about it to myself while running along the mountain road with Meat. Why did I have to go outside? For safety, of course. It was impossible for me to tell whether I was safe or not without any information. I had so little information that my desire to do research outweighed the possibly temporary safety I had at the dungeon. Hence, I needed to go to a human settlement. I really don't want to work. Naturally, I was capable of running down the mountain road despite never exercising thanks to my wearable golem. I had ordered it to run all the way to Tsaya village. And so it was. But it was still really tiring somehow, so I needed to stop several times to take breaks. How is Meat keeping up so easily? My muscles are gonna hurt like hell tomorrow, sheesh. It took us half a day to reach the city. And so, we were there. Tsaya's city at last. Aside from the food and water, we had also brought a fair amount of cash from the dungeon. It was the money we had withdrawn into the master room after the knights came to eliminate the bandits. The city was surrounded by a brick wall about 5 meters tall, and the entrance gate was protected by a tough-looking guard. Wait a second, whoa. This is a pretty big city. How many people are living here? Halt! What business do you have in Saya City? The cautious-looking gatekeeper ordered us to halt once we got close enough to the gate. Not wanting to cause any unnecessary problems, we stopped. Your companion must be a slave, given that collar. Does she belong to you? Yes, she does. I found her by chance. Do you have any form of personal identification? If not, you'll need to pay 5 silver coins and 1 copper coin. Your slave doesn't need to pay 5 silver coins because she's with you, her master, and slave collars are a form of personal identification. I checked the wallet I had brought with me. Inside was 7 silver coins, 10 noticeably big copper coins, and 30 smallish copper coins. Sweet. I have enough. 10 copper coins were worth 1 large copper coin, and 10 large copper coins were worth 1 silver coin. I didn't know if there was any coin more valuable than a gold coin, though. Oh, and the silver coins are a form of insurance. The guild will give you a form of identification after you become an adventurer. If you show that to me, I can return your coins. Though, someone from the country like you likely won't have enough money to pay for both this and your registration at the guild. It costs 3 silver coins for 1 person to become an adventurer, after all. We advanced down the main street of the city, and soon enough delicious scents wafted into my nostrils. There must have been a lot of people making kebabs, as the tasty smell of meat was thick in the air. After walking for a bit, we reached a fairly large building. A sign with a drawing of swords, potions, and scrolls on it was hanging on the door. That must have been the signpost for the Adventurers Guild. I went inside and saw that it was filled with people who looked like adventurers, partying hard and drinking a ton of beer. I was surprised to see all of them drinking so hard at noon. Maybe they had worked all night, and were on the verge of going home. I followed the guard to the counter, and soon enough the receptionist handed over the registration forms. Surprisingly enough, it was wood-based paper, not sheepskin parchment, or anything like that. I was impressed. Can you write your name? If not, I can write it for you at the cost of 1 copper. No need. Meat, it's your time to shine. Yes, master. I asked Meat to write my name for me. The only language I could write in was Japanese. I couldn't comprehend this world's language whatsoever. Suddenly, I realized that the guard and the receptionist were looking Meat and me over with furrowed brows. Was it that rare for a child slave to be literate? I'm surprised. She's such a small child, and yet. Well, I needed her to be useful somehow. I see. For some reason, the receptionist was giving me a kind of disgusted look. Should I not have taught Meat to read or something? Are you really going to register that slave child as well? Is there a problem with that? Can slaves not be registered? Is there an age limit? Is she writing the wrong things? No, there isn't any problem with the paperwork or anything of that sort. Meat finished writing my name, and we quickly finished the rest of the registration. Guild's receptionist perspective. My name is Celia, a receptionist at the Adventurers Guild. I wonder, what relationship do these 2 new registrants have with each other? The girl has such an unpleasant name. Meat. Like she's just an object or something. But she's being registered as an adventurer despite her name. What a travesty. Kama the Brute, was it? Got it. Sigh, what an angel she is. She deserves to be protected from that scum. Day 29. After registering at the guild, I took a look at the request board. I came to town to learn more about the world. But there was something more important. I needed to find out what people of this world thought about dungeons. We'd never hold up if guys like that knight keep on coming for the core. What sorts of requests are linked to dungeons? Meat happily plunged into the throng of adventurers. Her small body was engulfed by the crowd and disappeared in seconds. After a small while, she came running back with 2 slips of paper wedged between her lips. I rubbed her head and scratched her chin to thank Meat, causing her to wiggle happily. Yep, she's basically a puppy. Thank you so much. I took a look at the quests she brought back. Master, how about these? As a new adventurer, we can't take any requests above rank G. I had Meat find us some that even we could do. If we wanted to take harder requests, we had to raise our ranks first. Hunting meat for a restaurant. Adventurers in the guild are organized by ranks. As a newbie, you start out at G rank. You will rank up based on your performance on the quests, said the receptionist after I showed her AF rank quest, which was about surveying our dungeon, the ordinary cave. That's why I gotta rank up if I want to take that request. Damn, I'm so sleepy, I don't want to grind. So I took a rabbit hunting quest. The quest had 2 requirements. Number 1, hunt at least 3 rabbits. Number 2, the rabbits must be fresh. And hunting rabbits shouldn't be an issue. These are perfect. We headed straight to forest. We found 1 rabbit on our way to the forest. It was bouncing around the grassy plains much like you would expect a rabbit to do. Honestly, it was super cute. White fur, red eyes, tiny. Yeah, it was cute. Cute and fluffy. A cute ball of fluff frolicking amidst the grass. But moments later, Meat had decapitated it with a single slice. Her golem blade knife easily sliced through its neck thanks to its vibration capabilities. It was pretty gruesome. Here's the meat. Thanks. Good job. I'm proud of you. This kid's got no mercy. I picked up the rabbit's corpse by the feet as blood pumped out of its neck and held it upside down for a bit. Once most of its blood had drained, I threw it into a leather bag we had brought. Meat's knife is a golem I made from an iron ingot. With magic power, the blade vibrates, and I can even cut cleanly through a log. With this knife and the golem clothes, anybody can hunt rabbits. At least, even I should be able to. I think I can. When I slashed at the rabbit, it jumped away and ran. So fast. Stay still so I can hit you. Ugh, a worthy opponent. After trying for some time, I asked Meat. Hey Meat, how is it going on your end? When I looked in her direction, she already had killed 3 rabbits. After killing the 10 rabbits, we headed to the Adventurers Guild and handed over the rabbit-filled bag. The client grinned after seeing what was inside. Well, looks can be deceiving, huh? Didn't expect you to be this skilled with a blade. Sorry, the girl did basically everything, not me. All I did was hold upside down the rabbits that the great Meat hunted and throw them in the bag after they ran out of blood. Meat was the only one who went into the forest. I just stood around waiting for her. But regardless of who caught them, the client was very impressed with the rabbits. It helped that their pelts were still usable thanks to how we drained their blood. All the rabbits, except 1, earned the maximum payment of 10 coppers, resulting in a net gain of 97 coppers. Though as a bonus for how solid they were overall, he paid us a whole silver coin instead. Huh! Which was the one worth 7 coppers? Yeah? You know it was the one I caught on my own. My bad for slicing its torso in half. Congratulations. You can now rank up. Do you wish to rank up? Why? Rank up. In other words, we'd be leaving G rank and going up to F rank. Then please give me your guild card. Please sit down and wait for a moment. After we gave our cards to the guild's receptionist, I asked Meat to get the ordinary cave investigation quest. We had finally met our goal. Now we will do the survey ourselves and say everything is normal in the dungeon, and that should keep any new invaders from cawing for a while. While I was thinking that, the guild's receptionist came back with our cards. Thanks for waiting, here's your new F rank cards. I thanked the receptionist and took our cards. Meat was taking a lot of time, so I asked her, "What's wrong, Meat?" "It's not here." "Yep. Which means someone took it, I guess." "Oh crap, what do I do?" "When did it get taken?" "This morning? At noon? Maybe last night?" "If they just took it, we could catch up to them on the road there." "We might end up fighting, though." Would we be able to win that fight?" "Master?" I glanced at Meat. Speaking of which, does Meat really understand that I'm a dungeon master? Like, does she get what that implies? I don't think I've ever talked to her about it. But. Okay. I need to calm down. Rokuko can handle herself. She'll do what I told her to for sure. If what I know about this world is right, that'll be enough. The only problem is, what if what I know and what the guild knows is different? I need to find that out right away, which means now's not the time to be sleeping. I headed towards the counter. Behind it was Celia, the same receptionist as always. Sorry for coming right back. I'd like to ask you some questions about dungeons, if that's okay. Many adventurers will soon be returning, but I can answer your questions until then. But what do you want to know? The dungeons around here are all D rank or above, so they should have little to do with you. In other words, because the ordinary cave was the subject of an F rank quest, it wasn't a normal dungeon. I remember seeing a quest about exploring some dungeon named Ordinary Cave. I couldn't find it just now, but it was an F rank quest, which makes me curious about it. Ah, yes. That quest is primarily for rookies. It's a quest based on investigating a harmless, newly born dungeon. Those are quite rare. We post the quest about once every 2 weeks. Newly born? I'll have to ask Rokuko to see if that's a fact or just a false rumor. By the way, what kind of person took the quest? That information is confidential. Yeah, figures. I'd have appreciated it if she told me, but I'd basically lose all trust in her if she gave away information like that willy-nilly. While I'm here, might I ask what kind of places dungeons are? Dungeons are places where treasure, monsters, and traps appear. It's often said that if you wish to get rich quick, dungeons are your best bet. Though I presume you already knew that much. And naturally. Of course. How could I not? Yeah, I had no idea. Thank you for teaching me what's common sense in this world. Then, are you aware of what a dungeon boss or a dungeon core is? Dungeon boss? Not dungeon core? Now that she mentions it, I do remember one of the knights talking about a dungeon boss or something. Cores are like the hearts of dungeons. Right? Yes, that's right. A dungeon will collapse as soon as its core is destroyed. The dungeon boss is a being that awaits at the bottom of a dungeon, protecting its core. Some theorize that the dungeon core and the dungeon boss are one at heart. Historically, there are legends of the Demon King's castle collapsing after the Demon King himself was defeated. It's quite a popular theory that the Demon King was both the dungeon core and dungeon boss of his castle dungeon. Though I personally believe that the Demon King was just a sore loser who, at the last moment, tried to destroy those who defeated him by any means possible. A Demon King dungeon core, huh? I guess it was just someone like Rokuko going way too far. I tried imagining Rokuko as a demon queen. She stepped on her long cape and fell over. Yeah, Rokuko doesn't fit that role at all. I heard there was a rumor that you can grow stronger by destroying dungeon cores. Is that true? He who dares wins, or something like that. That is rumored, but whether or not it's true is still unknown. And I might add, destroying guild-managed dungeons is punishable by death under Imperial law. I would advise you to not try experimenting. Seriously? Seems like our dungeon's protected by Imperial law. It might be a good idea for me to calm down a little. By the way, if you wish to know more about dungeons, I suggest that you buy a dungeonology book. Although books are expensive, there is no better way to learn what you wish to know. Now that's the kind of info I wanted. Dungeonology, huh? That's a funny name, but I'm glad I learned about it. I definitely want one of those books. Though, even a copy of Intro to Dungeonology will cost you a full gold piece. That's pretty expensive. You think so? All books are that expensive, in my experience. Really? Well, I don't have any gold pieces right now. The receptionist glanced behind me. I followed her gaze and saw that several adventurers had just returned. Will that be all for today? People are returning now. Yeah, sorry. Thanks for the help. Do not mention it. Giving advice to adventurers is part of my job. Now, if you'll excuse me. The receptionist turned and started helping out someone else. It'd be rude of me to keep bothering her, so I took meat and left the counter. Either way, I doubted the ordinary cave's core was in any danger of being destroyed. Though there was a decent chance some dungeonology scholars or whatever would investigate it due to how rapidly it increased in size. Either way, DP-wise, it'd be cheaper for us to stay here since we didn't need to buy food or anything. One path available to me was to become an adventurer, and used Saya City as my base of operation. But to put it simply, I couldn't live without my futon. I really wanted to get my hands on that dungeonology book. Though it might be a while before I can get my hands on enough for 1 gold coin's worth of stuff. Wait a second. Can I maybe buy that book with DP? I checked the DP catalog and yep, there it was. Maybe it's showing up now because someone told me about it. Let's see here. Intro to Dungeonology, 100 DP. Wait, what? 100 DP? The heck is with that? I can buy a book worth 1 gold piece, worth 1 million yen, for 100 DP? I'm pretty sure 5 copper coins costs 5 DP. What in the world is going on here? What's with the exchange rate? Could it be that the dungeon values things differently from humans? Oh wait, now isn't the time for that. Those adventurers could be at the core any time now. First thing first, I have gotta get back to the dungeon. Either way, it looked like it would be a good idea to go back to the dungeon and buy Intro to Dungeonology. Meat, we're going back to the dungeon. Yes, master. Meat nodded. Clothes glowed back to the dungeon full speed. As soon as I said that, golem clothes made me run so fast that I thought my soul would be left behind in the city. After reaching the dungeon, my feet and muscles were killing me. They hurt so bad. It was already close to noon when we reached the ordinary cave. It took longer than expected, but we had finally gotten home. Though, the first thing we saw after exiting the forest and looking towards the cave was something neither of us ever expected. There was Rokuko, sitting on a white chair next to a white table, gracefully drinking tea. She was even in the form I first saw her in, rather than her DP-saving form. And in front of her was a lady I've never seen before, looking gently at Rokuko with her long white hair trailing behind her back. She radiated a classy aura that likely reflected some kind of noble status. Beside her stood a blonde guy. Wait, no. Beside her stood a cross-dressing blonde girl wearing the black clothes of a butler while holding an umbrella over the first girl. And then. Foo. What happened after that? Rokuko gracefully tilted her cup to drink the tea. The refined lady used that opportunity to talk to her, smiling gently. Basically, the entrance to our cave had turned into the royal garden of a palace. What the heck is Rokuko doing? Who is that girl? Why are they drinking tea like nothing's wrong at all? I froze in place, and soon enough made eye contact with the broadly smiling Rokuko. Oh, Kaima! Welcome back! That didn't take long at all. What are you doing? Can't you tell? I'm having a tea party like the refined lady I am. Rokuko, not in her lowly form, puffed out her sizable chest with pride. That's not what I meant. I want to know why you're doing that. Number 89 came over to spend time with me. Oh wow, number 89, huh? Wait. Number 89? She's a dungeon core? I looked more closely at the white-haired girl sitting next to her. She looked like much more of a refined lady than Rokuko. Well, hello there. May I call you Kaima? The lady elegantly waved her hand. To be honest, she was exactly my type. Like, exactly, holy shit. But for some reason, a chill ran down my spine. Let me introduce myself, said the white-haired lady. Oh my god, she is like an angel. I am Dungeon Core number 89, Haku of the White Labyrinth. Let's end the part 5 here, guys, and if you had not subscribed yet, please subscribe to our channel. It helps push the video to more people. Thanks for watching, and we will see guys in the next part. Bye.